Welcome to California State University, Northridge. Today we're going to go ahead and go over all the equipment you're going to be using in your Chemistry 101 lab. So we have a few things here that confuse a lot of students, and to avoid some frustration the first day with not knowing what you're going to be doing, we're going to just go over all of them to show you what they're used for and tell you the names of all of them so you're not confused and you're not asking your instructor for every single piece of equipment. So some of the things you probably have seen before in your life. Usually if you're watching like Breaking Bad, they're making meth, but instead of making meth, we're actually going to be doing chemistry, and you're going to be learning how to use these types of equipment for not making drugs. All right, the first two that are going to be the most common that most people have probably seen before are this one on my right hand and this one on my left hand. So the one on my right hand is called a beaker. Now, beakers are used for quick mixing of things as well as for pouring and transferring out. The one in my left hand is called an Erlenmeyer flask. Erlenmeyer flasks are used for mixing things at a rapid pace and also for storage, because you can usually put some sort of stopper or cover here. Now, if you'll notice at the top, the beaker is a lot more open to the environment than the flask is, and this is designed for a purpose because the flask, you want things to have very little outside influence. With the beaker, it's not going to matter as much. The next thing that confuses a lot of people is the filtration flask. And this looks just like the Erlenmeyer flask, except that it has a little handle on the left-hand side that you can attach a nozzle to. After this, you have something called a volumetric flask. Now, this is used for making an exact measurement of, say, in this case, 50 milliliters. There's all sorts of sizes for this, and this will be used for dilution, so we'll go over this in a later video. Some other things you've probably seen before at some point in your life are test tubes. So these are not drumsticks. You don't do this in class. These are test tubes. So anytime you want to run a small test and you don't really require an exact volume, you're going to go ahead and put it into the test tube and do your mixing in here. Now, if you'll notice, where I'm putting these test tubes, you have what's called your test tube rack. So it could either be this wooden piece, or it could be a yellow or bluish white plastic piece that you can store your test tubes in. So it doesn't necessarily have to be wood. The next thing that a lot of people have probably seen before is a graduated cylinder. And just as the name implies, it is a cylinder. It's going up and down. This is used to measure out volumes. And there's three different sizes you'll see in your drawer. You have a 10 milliliter version, a 50 milliliter, and a 100 milliliter. And so this is the 100 milliliter, the two are going to be the little brothers of this guy right here. After that, these two bottles right here. One of them is your reagent bottle, so this will be your polypropylene reagent bottle, and one of them is your polyethylene wash bottle. Now, one of them is a squirt bottle. This is going to be used for washing, like this. But you're not going to use it like that. You're actually going to be pouring it directly into a beaker or a flask. You're not going to be squirting your friends with it. It's not a water gun. This one is going to be used for storage. If you don't want things exposed to the air and you want to have a firm seal on it, you have a cap, plastic cap on top, and you'll store things in this bottle. All right, now for some of the smaller pieces of equipment. So there are two types of pipettes that are listed. One of them is this guy right here. So this is your Pasteur pipette. It is a smaller pipette used for transferring small amounts of liquids over. And this is not really an exact transferring tool, but you can control the rate of flow with this fairly well. And we'll go over this in a future video. This one is the big version. So this is the 10 milliliter volumetric pipette. And if you look closely, there is a 10 on the side of it, so that should give it a hint to you of what you're going to be looking for. So this is used for an exact transfer of 10 milliliters. All right, so after those two pipettes, you also have pipette bulbs. So we have two different bulbs that we use to control both of these pipettes. This one is used for the Pasteur pipette. So you'll take this and you'll put it directly on top of your Pasteur pipette, and this will be how you use to suck up the liquid. For your volumetric pipette, you're going to use this one. This is your safety pipette bulb. So if you're wondering which one is which, the big blue one is your safety pipette bulb, Your pasture pipette bulb is this little one. And it doesn't have to necessarily be this bluish green color. It can also be yellow, white, or black. All right, we're almost through all our equipment that usually confuse people. We have rubber stoppers, and these are used to cap the tops of flasks or test tubes. And you can see this guy was not the right size, and it fell right through. But there are certain sizes, such as this one, that would use to cap. All right, there is one stopper that always confuses everybody, and that is the number 9 penny head stopper. So it's a glass stopper. It has a little circular top on top. That's the penny head, and that will go on top of your volumetric flask. So when you're looking through your equipment drawer on the first day, a lot of times if you can't find it, it's either in a lot of times it will be on top of your volumetric flask itself. Okay, magnifying glasses. A lot of you probably played with these as kids, so we don't really have to go over that. A ruler, that's kind of self-explanatory. You can go ahead and measure things out occasionally in our lab. You have this guy, which is a set of clamps. This is used for test tubes. So you use these to pick up your test tubes if you're ever heating them. You have a spatula, so we're not going to be flipping eggs, but we will be stirring things around a little bit, and this is our nickel spatula. So it's got a metal tip with a little rubber handle for us. We also have these long glass stirring rods. So on your sheet, you might say that you need 2 of the same size. If you have 2 of the different sizes, it's not that big of a deal. This is just used to stir liquids around without putting your finger in it. Of course, you don't want to stick your finger in acid. This is a watch glass. So if you want to put something on top to give it a cover, but you still want to be able to look down on it, this is what the watch glass is for. Styrofoam cups. I hope I don't have to explain this. This is a styrofoam cup. You probably drink coffee or hot cocoa out of it. This guy right here, this is your weighing dish. So if you're ever measuring a solid sample out, you're going to put it in here, and then you'll put it onto the scale, which we'll go over in our next video. And the last 2 are the ones that will also give you some trouble. You have 2 different types of funnels. One of them is called a Buchner funnel, and it's 2 pieces. So you usually have the bottom half and the top half. This is used for filtration. So if we're ever trying to filter a solid and a liquid away from each other. And then this is your short stem funnel. So it's not really that much of a short stem, but it is a glass funnel. And this is used to transfer liquids into containers that have small openings, such as a flask. And that should be pretty much all the equipment. If you have other questions, don't worry, you don't have to memorize all this. Your instructor will help you out the first day. But this is just to give you kind of an idea of what all of your equipment's used for and what their names are. If you need to, you can always look back over this video to kind of get yourself reacquainted. And we hope you enjoy the semester.